First of all, thank you very much, NCCP, for organizing this program in spite of this difficult situation in the country. And it is a pleasure to distribute the knowledge on palliative care to our primary health community. Welcome all the participants who are present today. And it is about the cancer and giving palliative care to cancer patients. First of all, we all should know in Sri Lanka, if we consider the mortality rates, okay. If we consider, sorry about that. If we consider the mortality rate in Sri Lanka, the cancer comes to the second commonest mortality in Sri Lanka. So therefore, we know that when cancer is diagnosed, the mortality also comes into the picture, and the palliative care is a very important aspect in the cancer management. If we just look at the cancer statistics, compare them, the more developed countries and South Central Asia and in Sri Lanka, if we look at the risk of anyone before age 75 getting a cancer, it is in more developed countries, it is around 26%, and other South Central Asian countries, it is about 10%. In Sri Lanka, it is again at the rate of 10%. So just look at it. We are at a lower rate of getting cancer. If you live in a more developed country, the risk of anyone getting cancer is higher than for us. However, look at the mortality statistics. Dying of cancer in the more developed countries, it is less than half the percentage of risk, the people getting cancer. But in our setup, it is more than half the patients diagnosed will be end up with a mortality. So it's bit of a little negative towards in our part of the world. Okay, just look at a case scenario. This is one lady, 44 years old teacher. She is mother of two girls, 14 years and 16 years, two young girls. Mother of two young girls, presented with just backache of 2 weeks duration. This is a real case I'm presenting. This patient's examination, we found a tenderness over the thoracic, 12th thoracic vertebra, and had a breast lump and also enlarged liver, and she was otherwise normal. Investigations revealed basics were all normal, and these advanced investigations like this mammogram, there was a mass, and this CT scan, there were multiple metastases, and this technetium bone scan shows extensive bone metastasis. So the TrueCut biopsy was done, diagnosis invasive ductal carcinoma. So this is a metastatic breast cancer. It is carcinoma of breast stage 4, and it is a metastatic breast cancer. So look at this 44 years old lady, a mother, a wife, a teacher for her students. So she has been doing all her normal work, day-to-day work, just as a normal person, just like us. But all of a sudden, she was diagnosed with an incurable illness, which is a metastatic breast cancer. All of a sudden, what would be the emotions of this lady? If someone is told that you are having a incurable, you are going to die within few months or years, to say. If you look at the survival data, the usually stage 4 breast cancer survival is 5-year survival is less than 23%. Our patient is actually even less survival because she is having liver mets maybe a year or two. So this patient gets so many psychological issues. So she may think that I'm having a cancer and I'm going to die. Uh, I'm unable to care for myself and my family. And can my daughters get this? So she has two young daughters. Everyone knows the breast cancer is familiar. So she's thinking about her daughters. And mastectomy, when there is a breast cancer diagnosis, everyone knows that there is some day or other, there is some sort of a talking about mastectomy. So will change my body image. So she's so worried. What kind of symptoms and suffering I have to undergo with these sort of the chemotherapy and all those treatment which she has heard of before. So with all this in mind, so how difficult her situation is. She's physically disabled, she's mentally disabled. So just imagine, this is just a lady, a normal lady, just 2 weeks before she has been a normal lady. Now she has been turned into a situation like this. It is very hard. So if you look at the theory, uh, we know it is not unnatural. Like there are stages of emotions since the diagnosis of cancer is described. How your psychological status would be. First thing is the anger. They will get first is that they get angry about the diagnosis. They get angry about everything, and then come to a second stage, which is denial stage. Denial, so she tries to uh, think that she tried to deny. So she might say that this is not my report. It is doctors have made mistake. I am just having a backache. How can I be having a metastatic cancer? I just had this backache for 2 weeks. It's impossible to be. Maybe my specimens were mixed up and someone else's diagnosis came to me like that. She might deny various things. So you should be able to diagnose that this is a normal phenomenon of the patient, psychology of a patient who has been diagnosed with a cancer. Okay, and then we will, what are the treatment options we have to offer this lady? They are we have, as an oncologist, we have radiotherapy, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, targeted therapy, and symptom control. All these for the bone metastasis, for various zoledronate, analgesics, so everything. We have sort of this type of specific treatment options for her. Is that all? Is that all? Now we know the lady's condition. Is that all? If we just give her radiotherapy, just give her chemotherapy, will that be enough for her? No. There are many components of this care of a cancer patient. Right? It is a multidisciplinary approach. It has to be a multidisciplinary approach. It is involved with various other disciplines. And also there has to be a very good clinical assessment. A good clinical assessment is a must in this management of this type of patients. And also, we need to use the investigations judicially. The available investigations need to be used and come to a proper assessment of the patient, and then to decide on proper management. Also, there has to be a and also there's another factor. We need to fulfill all the information needs of the patient. Patient might need lots of information because this is a very brand new thing for her. And we have to fulfill all the information needs. And also we need to have facilities. example, now we know that patient will have the denial stage. So she says, I don't want chemotherapy. I don't want. I'm going to. Then if as a doctor, if you say, okay, sign in the dead ticket that you are refusing chemotherapy, and then keep we just say that, oh, patient refused chemotherapy and signed, and now we are not going to give anything to her. She refused it. So that's not the case. We have to talk to her. We have to look at her emotional stages, and we have to give her enough information, and then make her psychologically acceptance for the proper treatment, where she will have a good survival and good symptom control. Uh, and there are psychosocial issues, of course. I think it will all be discussed later on today. And there are survivorship issues. Patients will survive. So we will look at it little later in this presentation. And also caregiver issues. So this caregiver issues are very important in long-term patient care. And you should not forget, cancer includes screening and early detection as well. Remember, this young lady also had two girls, two young girls. So of course we are worried about the familial breast cancer in those girls as well. So this screening and early detection also comes into picture of a general management of a cancer. To facilitate this, we will look at the cancer care trajectory. First thing we do is diagnosis of a cancer. Once you diagnose, you need to do all the investigations and stage the cancer. After staging, then you decide whether you are going for treatment with a cure, intent of cure, or whether you are going to treat with a palliative intent. If we are going to treat with the intent of cure, there are two things. One is cancer-free survival. You treat with give some form of oncological treatment, and then patient become cancer-free, so they survive. They have a cancer-free survival. And the next thing is give some oncological treatment, but they get intermittent disease. So it goes down and ups and downs, and the disease become like sort of intermittent disease. And this all these patients who have been treated with cure and patients who got the intermittent disease, they can later on become, even these patients who have cancer-free survival here, they also can become treatment failure one day. All these patients can become a treatment failure one day. So that means treatment failure means cancer grown. Okay, we look at this later, and then we look at here first again. Cancer-free patients who have been cancer-free for some time, and the patients who had intermittent disease can later on develop a recurrence again, and or a second cancer again in those patients. That is a common scenario. They can get a recurrence or a second cancer. Or, of course, you should not remember, they can be cancer-free survival throughout and until their natural death. That, of course, is a possibility. It's commonly seen. This patients who got a second cancer or a recurrence, we have to go back to the initial stage again, diagnosis, staging, and again you go this part. Okay, and the patients who patients with treatment failure, what happened when the curative treatment failure patients, they go into palliative treatment modality again, and they will be final result will be death. So we will look at this yellow box now. This yellow box where the patients are cancer free and also patients having intermittent disease, some free time and disease time. So that type of patient, this period, we call it survivorship, cancer survivorship. They are surviving but with the cancer. So they have special issues. They have special issues like these patients for the cancer, because of their cancer, they need time, they need leave from their work, they need leave from their education, they need money, they need their earnings, and cost of treatment for their earnings will be less because they can't go for work, and the cost of treatment and care, they have to spend more money for their cost of treatment and their care, and also their transport costs and all that. And also there's a human issues like carrier issues, carer issues, because they need a carer. The carer also most like probably a family member. When the family member cares the patient, that member also unable to go for work. They also need leave and all these issues. So again, it's like a vicious cycle. And there are interpersonal issues like relationship between families and friends and relatives, all that. And also psychological issues like they are always living with the long-term side effects. They are not just normal. They are having cancer treatment side effects. Also, they are having treatment side effects like chemotherapy, radiotherapy side effects, and also the surgery say that if they have mastectomy or organ amputation, so they are having stigmata of those. Uh, so it's not a normal person. Then they are always living with the fear of recurrence. They are thinking, I had cancer, it is cured, but who knows when it come back. So that is a big issue for them. And then uh, social stigma also comes in our Sri Lankan, like this Eastern setting, patient who had a cancer. Uh, there's a social stigma as well. So they have to survive with that. And this, we will look into the palliative treatment option.
Excuse me, madam, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay. And these survivorship issues and the palliative issues are almost overlapping. If we look at this management of a palliative patient, in cancer patient, always we should remember that there are specific onco-palliation and general palliative care. Both comes into the picture. Specific onco-palliation and general palliative care. That is why we always say in cancer patient palliative care, oncologist should be involved in the management group. Oncology unit has to be involved in the management group, even in the palliative setting, treating a palliative care patient. So this specific oncopalliation, as you know, we already discussed radiotherapy, chemotherapy, hormonal therapy, biologicals and small molecules comes in. General palliative management is same as for non-cancer. There's no difference. Same as for non-cancer. Uh, they have many physical symptoms like pain, nausea, vomiting, constipation. All these will be discussed in the next lecture, I suppose. And they also have many problems needing urgent attention like cancer palliative care emergencies. So these four domains of palliative care, which everyone knows, the physical, psychological, social, spiritual, and this total symptom concept of this one symptom, not only pain, any symptom affected by the physical, psychological, spiritual, social, the total concept. So that all come into the cancer care symptom management as well. I think the next lecture, Dr. Ramadas will discuss these. And also in the cancer patient management, the symptom management as well, the medical management and non-medical management is again a component. So it is just the same as for any symptom management. If we just again look at something specific to the cancer, and like if we say that more than 80% of cases of cancer are diagnosed in advanced stages 3 and 4. When it is diagnosed advanced stages, the 5-year survival is less than 20%. That means most of them die, 80% of them die within 5 years. So most of them need palliative care. And if diagnosed at early stages, stage 1 and 2, 5-year survival is 80%. Like when the cancer is diagnosed at early stages, most of them will survive. So in this setting, we need mainly cure in the early cancer stages. But late cancer diagnosis, it's mainly care. So where their palliative care is very important. Thank you.